Okay, we're live streaming.
Okay, good. Welcome, everybody. Believe it or not, it's a new year, 2026, and we're continuing. I think it's been, what, Martin, 5 years now or something?
Yeah, at least, yeah.
Anyway, we're Lance Luke and Martin Pea, part of Ask the Building Expert Masterclass webinar series, kicking off our first webinar masterclass for the new year 2026. And our topic today is a cautionary tale for condo building owners. And welcome everybody on our Zoom platform. We're also restreaming on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And so if you're connected there, thank you. We're going to open it up for question and answer at the end. So feel free to post comments, questions, or whatever you want. If we don't get to it today, we promise to check it out and give you an answer as soon as we can. Now, the topic today, we're talking about condo buildings, but it not only applies in the United States, but all over the world, everywhere that they have condominiums. So let me go through some of the slides here first. Want to let you know this webinar is presented by Construction Management Inspection, which is a Hawaii-based construction management and property inspection company. And we're broadcasting out of Honolulu, Hawaii today, like we normally do. And before I get into this specific topic here, I want to just give some information as to why we're actually presenting this information. And is it that important? We're going to be talking about preventive maintenance, which is the key to safety of the property of the building and also maintaining the value. Condominium living has a lot of many benefits, shared amenities, managed upkeep, hopefully, and community life. But there's also um, shared ownership responsibility with a condo board, and we want to make sure that nothing gets neglected and creates a liability situation. So there's consequences for not maintaining a building. Back in 2021, I'm not sure if you guys remember, but there was a building in Florida that collapsed in the city of Surfside near Miami. And why did it collapse? What was the problem? The problem was they're still investigating now, but my first call was there was neglected repair and maintenance, a lot of spalling conditions and water infiltration and other um, things like that, neglected and delayed repairs that weren't done, and it just got worse and worse over time. And then eventually there was that big catastrophe. There's hidden dangers in every building. There could be roof problems causing leaks and molds, plumbing leaks causing damage, rot, concrete spalling that weakens the structural foundation and balconies, electrical hazards that could cause fires. And we'll be talking about some of these things throughout the presentation. The cost of neglect is really really high. Not only the repair costs, but if people get injured or die, it becomes more of a liability issue with huge lawsuits. And and all that. So with the increase in building materials and construction labor costs, there's also skyrocketing repair costs. So if you don't fix something today and delay it until next year, the cost is not going to be cheaper. It's going to be more expensive. That's historically. And then you have insurance challenges. We know all about that with the wildfires and hurricanes and all that. And what happens if a building needs a lot of repair? Does the value go up or down? The value goes down because it's a declining property value at that point. So there's a lot of preventive measures that we're going to talk about that actually work, like scheduling inspections every so often, budgeting for the repairs, especially the large capital improvement projects. Um, you want to prioritize life safety, life safety, fire alarm, elevators, and communicate properly. If you're a board member or property manager, communicate with the residents and the condo uh, building owners, the unit owners, right? Communication is key. So we'll be talking about some of these things, and if you have any questions along the way, let us know and we'll tackle those. Why building maintenance matters. Okay, we have 3 P's here: protection, preservation, and prevention. Building maintenance matters because it protects the residents' safety. And when we talk about residents, we're not only talking about people who own the building or own the units, we're talking about also tenants. And we could throw in any other people that come by, guests of the building, vendors, contractors, um, delivery people, and so forth. Building maintenance matters because it preserves property value, and then also it prevents costly emergency repairs. So if the building doesn't fix something now, today, when it needs to be fixed, and they kind of kick the can down the road, the cost to repair that certain item may be a lot greater. And I'll give you an example. There was an electrical issue that the condo board didn't think it was that important, and they didn't have anybody fix it. And then there was a power outage. So they had to bring an emergency generator in, and it cost the condo building $600,000 for 1 month of having the generator there while the whole electrical system was being repaired. So the cost is not cheap when you wait too long. I mentioned the Florida building collapse, the lesson learned, Surfside in Florida, 2021. Almost 100 people died, 98 lives lost. What was the problem? Deferred repairs and ignored warnings from even experts. So there was a calculation of about $15 million after they did their reserve study and had engineering studies and warnings, but the board took too long to figure out what to do. And they said they didn't have the money, and that's why things were deferred. And that became a big problem. Proof that neglect can lead to tragedy. So this is a primary example of when people don't fix the building, what's the downside? What can happen? We don't want any more problems like that. We don't want people getting hurt or even dying because of failure to maintain the building. What are some hidden dangers in condo buildings? Roof leaks could cause water damage, and not only damage, but could lead to other things like mold, rot. Plumbing leaks could lead to mold, and that becomes a bigger problem. So not only is the condominium building having to fix the plumbing. Now they're having to fix other things the water, caused by the water damage, such as mold issues. They got to cut out drywall. Um, if the damage was big, they have to replace furnishings, carpet, flooring, even furniture and possessions, paintings and artwork and other things like that, personal possessions. That all gets lumped into things that were damaged because of a roof leak or a plumbing leak. Also, there's structural cracks and signs of serious failure. Concrete spalling is one thing. Um, you see a crack, but it doesn't look that bad. But behind the wall, there could be a bigger issue where you can't see. What happens if you don't fix the building and there's problems? Well, guess what? Attorneys are waiting to figure out what they can do to help you. There's liability for the association. There's liability for individual condo board members. Believe it or not, condo board members have been sued individually and personally, both as an individual and in the capacity of a board member. And that becomes scary. Okay. How about you file an insurance claim and insurance denies the claim because the basis for the problem was neglect. And what does the insurance company say? Said, oh, the board knew about this problem, but they failed to fix it and it caused damage, and don't expect the insurance company to pay because it's your fault. You guys were in a position of being in neglect. So in other words, you knew about the problem but failed to do anything about it. A lawsuit, emergency assessments, and other costs relative to the lawsuit. So for instance, if you have a railing that's corroded, right, and you know about the rust, and you go, okay, well, we'll fix that when we'll do the spalling project, and that's 2 years down the road. Okay. But what happens before the board has a chance to fix it? Somebody leans over, falls over the 25th floor, and dies. Okay, because of the corroded railing. That becomes an issue. You think the insurance company is just going to bend over and pay the claim? No, they're going to want to argue and say, well, wait a minute, that's not our fault. You're supposed to maintain the building. Okay. And what happens when it's in a condominium building and there's a big lawsuit? Guess what? Every single unit owner in that condo building has to pay a fair share of whatever the settlement is. Has to pay the attorneys, has to pay the claim and all that. So it doesn't seem fair, right? How to avoid lawsuits? There's too many lawsuits against condo boards, condo associations, and property management companies. There's tons of them out there. The condo board has a duty to repair and maintain the property. And that's not like something that is not only common sense, it's actually the law. So if you're located in Hawaii or any of the United States or anywhere in the world, look at your condominium documents and read what it says. There's information in there that requires the board, the condo board, to maintain and repair the property. Okay. There's nothing like that in Hawaii, the Hawaii condo law, right, that says the board does not have a duty to repair and maintain the property if the association doesn't have the money. There's nothing like that. So board members can't say, oh, you know what? We didn't repair, we didn't maintain because we didn't have the money to do so. That doesn't fly. In the court of law, that's like the most feeble excuse you can give. You know why? Because it's very clear in the specific condominium documents, the condo governing documents, that has it in black and white that the board has a responsibility to maintain. Further, that Hawaii state law requires that anyway. So even if it was not mentioned in the specific condo document, like in the declaration bylaws, it's still covered in the Hawaii state condo law. So there's no way around that. The other thing that boards fail to do, a lot of times is not hiring subject matter experts. They think that they don't want to spend the money. We don't need to hire an engineer to come look at this spalling. We know it's spalling, so why should we pay? And then a year goes by, another year goes by, and nothing happens, and then suddenly someone gets hurt, right? And then in the lawsuit, the attorney representing the person that's suing asks the condo board, when did you know about this problem? And did you take any steps to hire an expert to let you know what the problem was or how bad the problem was? I mean, they ask all these direct, pointed questions, and it's hard to say, no, we felt that we didn't need to hire somebody. Well, why not? Are you an engineer, Mr. Board Member? Well, what's your profession? Are you an engineer? So you kind of knew what the spalling was about and that it wasn't dangerous or anything? Oh no, I'm a school teacher. Well, okay. Well, let me ask you, were you ever trained in engineering or how to determine the properties of concrete and what could happen if the concrete cracks and is it a structural crack? Is it a cosmetic crack? Or what does the crack do to? And do you know that if there's a crack and water gets in, if there's reinforcing steel and the steel gets wet, it gets corroded and then expands and it cracks the concrete. Did you know that that causes spalling? Uh, yeah, I thought I read something about that at one time. Okay, well, if you're aware of that, then why didn't you take steps to fix your building? So don't get into this trap, right? So you can avoid all this harassment and all that by just getting the building fixed when it's supposed to. All right, boards are required to follow the laws of the land. What are the laws of the land? The laws of the land in a condo building are called condo governing documents, condo docs, or condo documents. And there's a couple of things that are the law of the land in the documents, and you have your condominium bylaws, you have your declaration, and the declaration normally is the document that I would read to determine what the responsibilities are, what considered common element and what's considered unit owner responsibility. Okay, the outside of the building is normally called a common element, and the inside of the unit is a unit owner responsibility. You could have a lanai or balcony where only that unit owner can access, and that's considered a limited common element because it's limited and no one else can use it except the unit owner. But in general, it's still considered a common element. The unit owner cannot tell the board, you can't come on my lanai because I own it. That doesn't fly. Okay. And there's also HRS, which stands for Hawaii Revised Statutes 514B, which is the condo law. So if your bylaws says nothing about the board maintaining the building, if your declaration is silent on that or it's not clear, right? Not to worry because HRS 514B, which is a condo law, covers all that anyway. So we got, in some cases, double coverage, right? So based on all of these laws, okay, and I call them laws because the bylaws and the declaration are laws for the condominium, that particular condo building. And HRS 514B is a law in general governing all condo buildings. Okay, so boards are required to follow these laws. There's no way around it. You can't weasel and come up with some excuse. There's no money, or I wasn't aware of it, or I didn't know, nobody told me. We depend on the property manager to let us know, and they make all the decisions or whatever. And all that doesn't fly. Property management companies do not make any decisions to run the condo board. The condo board is the one making the decisions. The property management company or property manager or site manager, resident manager, they're in an advisory capacity. They can advise, but they cannot take a vote and tell the board what to do, right? That's not their responsibility. They're not even, by law, they can't even do that anyway. Well, how do I know? Well, I've been working with condos for 45 years. Currently, I sit on 3 condo boards. So I'm pretty much aware of what the laws are. Preventive measures for condo boards. Schedule inspections and reserve studies, very important. Plan regular maintenance, don't forget about that. Communicate openly with owners. You can do that via email, with a newsletter, with posting in the elevator. There's actual features, software programs and all that. There's one called Town Square where people can log on and put in the code and you can find out information with what's happening with your specific building. There's also software programs that have all that built in, your updates, newsletters, flyers, whatever's going on with the building, what's planned for the future. That's all in that one website, right? So your board could do that, your condo, and then also hire qualified experts. There's no way that if you do your due diligence as a board member and you hire experts, it's hard for you to get blamed if you hire the right experts and said, hey, we did everything we could. We hired experts and here's what we're doing. Property owners, you want to protect your value, right, of your property. You bought a condo, you use your life savings, and you don't want the value to go down because of neglect and the board not maintaining the building properly. Protecting owners and property value. Safe buildings support higher values, right? That makes sense. Residents trust boards who act. Boards who do not act properly or do not follow the provisions of the condo law, and residents, the owners, don't trust them. They don't like them. Or boards that try and run the show like they're the only ones that own the building, and they make up their own decisions without involving the rest of the board and the rest of the owners at large in the condo association. That's not right. Strong maintenance equals long-term sustainability. That's what we're striving for. Let's get down to specifics. Concrete spalling. What's the lifespan of concrete? 50 to 100 years if maintained properly. Spalling can start 15 to 20 years after the building's first built, and that's a cycle. So if you live in a high-rise building, reinforced concrete, and you haven't painted the building for 20 to 25, 30 years, you already miss at least 2 times to get concrete spalling done, completed, repaired. Why you want to repair and replace? Well, protect steel, preserves the structure, it saves future costs. The longer you delay on fixing the building, the more it's going to cost. If it's not fixed, cracks spread, the reinforcing steel corrodes, possible risks of collapse. If you look at the image here, you could see the brown lines. That's actually corroded rebar. Okay, the rebar is there for a purpose. Architects and engineers did not specify reinforced steel with rebar to have it corrode like that and not repaired. Painting protects the building, whether it's wood or concrete. It's like if you don't paint, you're driving around your car that has scratches to the metal. What happens, right? You're going to see where the scratches are. It's going to turn brown from rust, from the salt air and all that. Painting lifespan is between 5 to 10 years, depending on the location. If your building is located in a coastal area, right at the beach or close by, your paint not going to last 10 years. It may last 8 years. So that's when you need to check. Why repair and replace? Why to paint or repaint? Protects the surfaces, prevents water intrusion, water infiltration. If you don't paint, you're going to have peeling, leaks, faster material deterioration. You've seen wood where people didn't paint it, and then now the wood is all rotted out, right? Because there's no protection. Same like concrete. You don't paint the concrete, eventually water gets in, and now you have corroded rebar and spalling conditions. Waterproofing, lifespan 10 to 15 years. Why do we want to repair or replace? It blocks water damage, prevents mold. If not fixed, leaks, rot, costly structure repairs. Waterproofing is used for parking decks, stairways, walkways, ramps, that kind of thing. Okay, very important. So you don't just use regular paint to paint a parking deck or lanai slab, right? You want to use waterproofing, which is high upgraded paint. Roofing, lifespan 20 to 30 years, depends on the type of material. There's all different kinds of material. Why do you want to repair or replace it? It keeps the building watertight. You don't want any leaks caused by a leaky roof. If your roof is not fixed, you got leaks due to interior damage, mold, major replacement costs. I've inspected buildings where they had roof leaks and the water was dripping into the light fixtures. So I look at the light fixture, I go, how come the light bulb looks kind of warped looking? And the maintenance guy said, oh, you know why? In the fixture, it collects water because we have a roof leak. I said, did you know that water and electricity don't mix? And he said, yeah, I know. That's why we don't want to fool with it. We just let it get filled up with water. Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. Cast iron piping, older buildings. If your building is 35, 40 years old plus, you got cast iron piping and you haven't done anything with it, at least have it inspected because it's going to be beyond the lifespan. Lifespan is between 40 to 60 years. Why do you want to repair or replace it? In this case, I would say don't repair it. You have to replace it. It prevents leaks, blockages, contamination, floods. There's many cases where one unit had a cast iron pipe leak because of a crack, and it flooded 20 units below or more. If it's not fixed, burst pipes, flooding, expensive, and emergency work. It's not good to walk into a unit and it's flooded with wastewater. Electrical, we don't talk too much about electrical, right? Lifespan is between 30 to 40 years. Water you want to replace or repair prevents electrical shorts, overloads, fires. If it's not fixed, it could be a fire hazard, outages, code violations. If you have your main electrical of your building, let's say you live in a high-rise building and your main electrical goes out, guess what? It's not easy to fix. You have old parts, got to bring in a generator, and the generator may not even be big enough to power everything in the building. And that becomes a huge emergency situation. Elevators, lifespan between 20 to 25 years, ensures safety and reliability. If not fixed, leads to breakdowns, entrapments, liability risks on buildings that have only one or two elevators. If it goes out, you're basically stuck, right? Dead in the water. Got to use the stairs. No problem. The elevator breaks, the people can use the stairs. Okay, well, what if the people are handicapped, right? What if they need help? What if they're in a wheelchair? They can't get out of the building. What if there's a fire? How are they going to evacuate? Right? So got to think about all these things. Fire alarm system, lifespan 10 to 15 years. Oh, somebody said, I thought it lasts like 50 years. No, it doesn't. You got to have it tested all the time. Critical for life safety. What if there's a fire in your building, someone pulls the alarm and the thing doesn't work, right? That becomes a bigger problem. If it's not fixed, system failure, delayed response, loss of life. You heard those stories. Asphalt parking, lifespan 15, 20 years. Why do you want to repair, replace it? Well, if there's potholes, you want to fix it, extends the surface life. If it's not fixed, you got cracks, unsafe surfaces, high repaving costs, liability issue. You got a pothole, somebody walks, falls in a pothole, breaks their ankle or hits their head, right? Believe it or not, the lawsuit that they're suing for is millions. And to fix the asphalt parking was 400,000, but yet they're facing a claim of $2.5 million because somebody got hurt because they fell in a pothole and hit their head. Okay, so just don't think about the cost to repair the problem. Think about if you don't repair it, what's the downside? Foundation walls, lifespan 50 to 100 years like concrete. If it's built and maintained properly, you want to maintain for structural stability, prevent settlement, cracks. If it's not fixed, you could have shifting, water intrusion, severe structural damage, safety hazard. So windows, the lifespan could be 30, 40 years, 35 years. It all depends on the type of window. If you have jalousie windows, I've inspected those windows, buildings that are 60 years old plus, and glass is falling out because the clips are too loose. Why do you want to repair, replace? Well, it improves efficiency, prevents leaks, safety issues, liability, lawsuits, water intrusion if it's not fixed. Imagine somebody walking down on the ground and a piece of glass falls on them and they get hurt, right? So that's not good. What's the key takeaways in all this? Proactive care saves lives and money. Neglect increases legal and financial risk. Boards must act as stewards of safety. Boards must act to maintain the property. Boards must do whatever they need to do to make sure the property is safe. All right, so basically in a nutshell, that's what I wanted to cover. And what you missed, we've given, I guess, over the past 5 years, other webinar master classes on almost every single topic of building and construction that you could probably think of. And it's on our website, free replay. You don't need a Netflix or Disney account, but make sure you have popcorn to keep yourself occupied while you're watching. What's coming up? We have the next one. Let me look here. It's about wildfire, severe health impacts due to wildfires. And then you got 2026. All our classes are listed on a website. So you might say, well, what's the name of your website? It's askbuildingexpert.now.site. Now we're also revising that website every single day. It's pretty huge. So I have a team of people that help with that. In that website, we have many other websites. You go to the menu under expert websites, and you could see all the different website topics we have. So each of the topics, it's its own website: waterproofing, painting, asphalt, contractor licensing, Lahaina wildfire, and so forth. Also, we have our national expert blogs. You got to learn some stuff by looking at our material. The webinars, like I mentioned, we have books that you can partake of with, I think to date, I wrote 80 books. They're all on Amazon. But I think there's a way to get it for free if you go to that website. And then we got a couple new websites: buildingcode.now.site, constructionexperts.now.site. So please visit our website. There's a lot of stuff. You got questions, we got answers. This is Lance Luke. And my number and email is on the screen. And right now, I want to open it up to any questions. So I'm going to turn it over to Martin. Are you there and awake?
Yes, sir, Lance. I'm here and I am awake. And you've
Okay,
done a
that's a
good
good
job.
thing.
Yeah. Yep. So you ready for some questions that have come in since
Yeah,
we
let's
started preparing for
tackle
this?
those and see how we can help out giving the answers.
Okay, let me hit you with the first one is how often should condo boards schedule professional building inspections? Good question.
I would say like I usually say every year, but people go every year. We don't have money for that. Okay, well, every 2 years or every 3 years, maybe. Now, if your building is well maintained, then okay, you can skip a few years. But if your building is old and there's a lot of things wrong, I would recommend inspecting once a year. And you're required to have a reserve study done, and that could count as an inspection or maybe not. It all depends what kind of reserve study, what kind of level reserve study. So don't wait like 5 years or longer because that's too long. A lot of things could happen. Now, if there's certain specific problems like a roof leak, plumbing leaks, or a spalling situation, don't wait. That's the time to inspect. So if you don't inspect your entire property, at least have inspections of those key components that are giving you problems, and that would help a lot.
Okay, thank you, Lance.
Mhm.
We've got quite a few questions that come in. Hopefully we can hit them all. The next one is, what are the early warning signs of concrete spalling that owners should look out for?
If you have like faded paint, cracks in your building, if you see like rust stains dripping down from areas of the building, that could be a problem. If you look on your lanais where your railings are, if you see cracks on the edges or corrosion, that kind of thing. So there's these telltale signs of what you can look for. that are pretty obvious, and it's kind of easy to find these. The harder parts are um, if it's cracked, but you don't know what's really causing the crack. You gotta hire like a third party inspector to check for you, and there's things that they could do, sounding, getting a hammer and hitting the concrete and listening for hollow areas. But there's certain things that are obvious, right? Rust stains, or if you look and you see exposed rebar because there's cracks in the concrete and the concrete topping it cracked off, that's already a red flag already. That's problematic. So be on the lookout for these things. Some of them are pretty obvious. Some not so, but that's okay as long as you're paying attention.
Okay, Lance, thank you. Next question that we've gotten here is, if our condo board has plumbing leaks, but the board delays repairs, what legal risks could we face?
Actually, a owner could sue the board and association for damages to repair, and that's been done before. So all all condo owners are at risk, not only the board, if there's a lawsuit, because guess what happens? The lawsuit sues the board and the association. Now, who makes up the association? All the condo unit owners. So let's say there's 50 condo unit owners in one building. If there's a lawsuit and they sue the association, that means they're suing all the condo unit owners as a whole. So who's liable, right? The association is liable. Every single condo unit owner, except they don't name every single condo unit owner. They just name the association as a whole. Okay, so there's liability, believe it or not, and it's very easy to sue. As you know, you just find an attorney willing to take the case and just file the necessary paperwork in court. It's not that hard. And they want to sue because they want to get the insurance company to pay, or the association to pay, or whoever has deep pockets, right? So that's what's going on, and it's getting worse. Every year there's more and more lawsuits being filed.
Mhm. Okay, thanks, Lance. Another question we've gotten here is, how do reserve studies help boards plan for large repairs? And are they legally required?
Um, reserve studies are legally required by law in Hawaii. Um, a lot of states are requiring it by law. Some states still do not. Those states are, in my opinion, behind the times. But in Hawaii, there's a reserve study requirement, um, and it should be done, and it's very helpful because if the condo did not have a reserve study, how would they know what things need to be fixed and what things don't need to be fixed, and how would they know what the cost is? And that's what the reserve study is for, to identify capital improvement projects that need to be done, identify when it needs to be done, and plug in a number as far as what the cost to repair or replace that component. So whether it's concrete spalling, painting, roofing, elevator, all that should be included in the reserve study.
Hmm, very good. Thanks, Lance. The next question that we have here is, can a board be held personally liable if neglected maintenance leads to injuries or property damage?
And the answer is yes. If you're on the board, you could be sued and liable as a board collectively. And you could also face liability personally and individually as a board member. So that's very risky. If you don't understand, I would talk to your D&O insurance agent. D&O is directors and officers. There's errors and omissions insurance, and talk to them. And these are the insurance people, right? Insurance professionals, and ask them the question. The question is, if we get sued, can I, as a board member, be personally liable? And see what they say. I have not had an attorney or insurance person tell me no. You wouldn't be. They're either going to say there's a possibility, or they're going to say yes, you can be held liable. So it's there's a risk inherent in being in that position.
Very good. Thanks, Lance. The next question we have here is, what preventive steps should we prioritize if our budget is limited?
Well, we go back to prioritizing capital improvement projects or things that need to be fixed that are broken. Now maybe the reserve study doesn't show like your fire alarm system. Maybe it shows it being, repaired 7 years from now, but something's wrong now. So you got to take steps to repair it. If there's not enough money in the reserve fund to do that, there's a way to kind of adjust numbers in order to get what you need. But if there's still not enough, there's basically 3 ways to raise funds: increase the maintenance fee, get a construction loan, or do a special assessment. Now, when you're trying to raise millions of dollars and there's not enough money in the reserve, increase the maintenance fee is not going to work, because you'd have to increase it like so high, people aren't going to be able to afford to pay that, right? It's going to be ridiculous. So the only other way is construction loan or special assessment. So that's only, now we're down to 2 ways, right? And let me be clear that on a construction loan, you're going to need a majority of unit owners to approve the loan. So if you don't have majority of unit owners, it doesn't mean you can't fix the problem, because the next option would be to special assess. And that's the board. So the board can decide to do a special assessment to raise funds to fix a capital improvement project, and they do not need condo unit owners' approval. So here's a situation. The board goes out to get approval for a construction loan of $2 million. And unit owners go, I can't afford to pay that, so I'm not gonna approve it. Right? So they think that they don't have to pay because they didn't approve the loan. Come to find out, they did not get majority of condo unit owners' approval, and the board was faced to do a special assessment. And unit owners threatened to sue, right? But how can they sue? Because the law, condo law, allows the board to assess, to raise the funds to fix something that needs to be fixed. So just because unit owners don't agree and didn't vote to approve the construction loan, it doesn't mean that nothing gets done. So that's kind of a hard lesson to learn. So finally, people are realizing that if they don't approve the loan, they're going to get assessment, right? So in numbers, okay, I'll give you a um, real live scenario. Special assessment was um, $36,000 for piping, and the loan was like $260 a month. So that's how one board got board approval for the loan, because it was either writing a check every month for $260 or writing a check for $36,000. So in cases where people are on fixed incomes or they don't make enough money, they didn't have enough savings or whatever, that was like a no-brainer to approve the construction loan. So that's just a real scenario I wanted to throw out there.
Very good. I like your real life situations.
Okay.
Thanks. Okay, the next question I have here is how do we convince reluctant owners, kind of like what you just talked about, that investing in maintenance now saves money in the long run?
Well, one of the reasons is that um, let's say concrete spalling costs $2 million and owners say, I don't want to pay for that. And I'm not going to vote to approve a loan for that amount. Okay. One of the scenarios I bring up is if a piece of concrete falls, hits somebody on the head, and that person dies, their lawsuit against the condo association is not going to be 2 million, it's going to be 10 million or 20 million. So you want to risk not fixing your building and risk getting sued and end up having to pay more than the cost to fix the building. And the other thing is, if the person that got injured or died, right, their estate ends up suing, what's the chances of they're going to win the case, right? It wasn't an act of God that a piece of concrete fell off. It was neglect by the board and the condo association not fixing their building and letting the spalling happen. So it's a bad situation. It's a no-win situation actually for the condo association. So, I mean, that's where we are, and that could happen with concrete spalling, with electrical, with plumbing, with a roof leak, and it happens all the time. There's thousands of condos out there, and all you need is one unhappy unit owner, and they're going to sue. So we got any other questions on social media or comments or anything?
I found a couple here that I can try to get through to you.
Yeah.
The one that I see here now is what role does insurance play if damage is linked to poor maintenance?
Well, the insurance has to step in when there's a claim, but you heard of the stories with all these hurricanes and wildfires and insurance raising their rates and all that.
Hmm.
Do you think the insurance company is automatically going to roll over and just say, well, here's a check, right? They're going to ask questions. They're getting stricter now. They're going to say, if you don't fix your building, we're not going to insure you. Or worse, when your insurance comes up for renewal, we're not going to renew. Go find another insurance company because we don't want you as a client. To have a client that doesn't fix their building and lets it get run down, the insurance company takes too much risk. So if you're the insurance company and have to pay claims out, would you want to insure a building that's well maintained versus a building that is neglected and they got spalling and other issues where anybody can get hurt? That's why they send these insurance inspectors out to look at the building before they decide to provide the insurance. And in some cases, they actually send the building a list of things that need to be done. In other words, before we insure you, we want you to fix your railing. We want you to fix the potholes. We want you to do this, do that. And you're stuck. You can't go back and say, oh, out of the 10 items, we only want to do 5 of them. Right? So what's going to happen is the insurance company says, no, we're telling you you need to do all 10. It's not you that's going to pick and choose. We didn't ask you which 5 you want to do. We're telling you you got to do all 10. Otherwise, go find another insurance company to deal with. And right now, it's not easy to find insurance companies. There's only a handful of them around.
That's right. Yeah, you're right, Lance. And then I've kind of heard that a lot of the companies are pulling out of insuring, areas, especially
Yeah,
like,
because if they can't make money, they don't want to be around.
yeah, yeah. Okay, well, I get one more question that we can try to slip in here, and it's asking, are there government or state resources to help condo boards with big repair projects?
The answer is yes. Recently, if you're in Hawaii, the state government had formed um, an entity, and they're using some money from the Hurricane Relief Fund to set up for condo associations to get lower hurricane insurance coverage. So that's hurricane coverage. They're working on the other perils coverage, such as fire and flood. So they're working on that. So hopefully soon. And then they're at the same time they're also trying to work on other types of financing where the state government could offer condominium associations loans, big loans for capital improvement projects such as roofing, concrete spalling, cast iron pipe replacement, elevators, and so forth. So the state government is looking at helping out condominium associations by creating a platform for providing low interest loans that's supposed to be competitive with what's out there in the open market. So, hopefully it'll happen, and that's a good sign.
Very good. Thank you, Lance. Good
Sure.
answers, good advice, good guidance in all of your answers to these questions. So I appreciate it, as the audience I'm sure does too. So that's all I've seen on our social media or wherever else we've been getting input from. So good job.
Okay, great. Well, thank you everybody for attending. Hopefully you learned something. Um, Go to our website, sign up for the next webinar if that's of interest to you, or watch other uh, video replays of other sessions that we had. And we appreciate you guys supporting what we do. We're out there to help keep buildings safe, keep people safe, and encouraging everyone to do the right thing. Now, if we don't feel like doing the right thing, guess what? There's laws that guide us in the right direction. So we're open to help you if you have any questions or comments. as I mentioned before, um, social media platforms. We have a team that checks those routinely, and we have a uh, nice promise to respond to people who have questions or posts. Doesn't have to be a question, it could be a comment, and that's fine too. All right, so thank you very much, and we'll see you at the next masterclass. Aloha and mahalo.
Have a nice, safe New Year.
That's right. Happy New Year.